Today, we put a sheet of glass between our feet and the Grand Canyon nearly 4,000 feet below. But the Skywalk was only the first surprise. Day 5 in Las Vegas began outside the Sahara around 6 o'clock in the morning. Vegas looked less like the city that never sleeps and more like it had finally lost the argument. We were headed to Grand Canyon West with a stop at the Hoover Dam first. Taking an organized tour meant we did not have to manage every road, transfer, or stop ourselves. We could settle in, listen to our guide, and watch Las Vegas gradually disappear behind us.
You know that you're with Michael, so they let me know if I'm listening.
The buildings became smaller, the roads became more quiet, and the landscape started taking control of the view. The destination was still hours away, but the experience had already started.
And this Hoover Dam was built during the Great Depression. When it was
Our first stop brought us to the pedestrian overlook on the Mike O'Callahan Pat Tillman Memorial Bridge directly above the Hoover Dam. This was not a complete dam tour. It was more of a short stop that gave us time to walk the view, hear some of the history, and appreciate the structure from above. Now, most of us have seen the Hoover Dam in movies, but standing here truly changes the scale. The roads and vehicles suddenly look tiny, and the entire structure feels less like a wall and more like gravity signed a very serious contract. Our time was limited, so I would treat this as an introduction rather than an entire Hoover Dam experience. But it created the perfect opening chapter. First, something enormous built by people, and next, something the landscape built itself. Back on the road, the landscape continued changing. One surprise was the number of Joshua trees that we saw on the route. It looked like the desert decided that ordinary trees were just not dramatic enough. It would have been easy to call this empty travel time, but exploration asks us not to wait for the official destination before we begin paying attention. Shortly after, we entered Halapai land. Grand Canyon West is part of the Halapai Reservation, and we were arriving as visitors on land with its own people, history, and meaning. And then the canyon finally began opening in front of us. Now, photographs can show the shape. They cannot fully prepare you for the scale. The canyon does not simply look large, it changes the size of everything around it, including you. Our first major stop was Eagle Point, home of the Grand Canyon Skywalk. The aerial view shows how the walkway extends beyond the rim, placing the canyon directly beneath the glass. That was the moment that we were waiting for, or depending on your relationship with heights, politely avoiding thinking about. We entered the building, followed the preparation process, and covered our shoes before stepping onto the glass. At that point, the instructions became simple. Walk forward and try not to let your imagination become more active than your feet. The first step was the hardest. My eyes could see the glass, my brain understood that it was designed to hold us, my feet had apparently not been included in that meeting. After a few steps, something changed. I stopped thinking only about the glass beneath me and began noticing everything around it. The Skywalk creates an unusual combination of fear and wonder. Part of you remembers the height, another part of you is trying to understand a view that is too large to belong under your feet. Every new panel seemed to restart the conversation between courage and common sense. Courage said, keep walking. And common sense says, we've gathered enough evidence. But that discomfort became part of the memory. Adventure is not always the absence of fear. Sometimes it is remaining curious while fear walks right beside you. Once we looked beyond the glass, shapes began appearing in the rocks. An eagle, and an alligator, and even what resembles a sleeping dog. The longer we looked, the more the landscape seemed to change. The Skywalk absolutely delivered the experience it promised. It was memorable, uncomfortable in the best way, and unlike any overlook I had experienced before. But the next stop would show us a completely different side of the canyon. Our next destination was Guano Point. Yeah, you heard me right. Not the most glamorous name in Arizona, but the views were about to do some serious PR work. Visitors move between the main locations using the shuttle system. It makes the route easy to follow, although it means working within the transportation schedule, which wasn't hard to navigate. Eagle Point had given us the attraction that everyone recognizes. Guano Point was going to give us more space to move, notice, and explore. And somewhere ahead were the remains of a story I knew almost nothing about. Guano Point felt different immediately. There was no single attraction telling us where to look. The canyon surrounded the area, and almost every direction offered another possible viewpoint. This was where the sightseeing felt more like exploration. The landscape felt more open, more rugged, and less controlled. Instead of approaching one centered piece, we could move throughout the terrain and let each view reveal itself. Another ridge, another drop, another layer of rock stretching beyond the last. From above, Guano Point reaches outward into the canyon. That shape explains why the view keeps changing as you move around it. What appears to be one overlook from the distance becomes several entirely different perspectives once you begin walking. The path became steeper and more uneven as we climbed. This was very different from the polished surface on the Skywalk. It required attention to footing, a comfortable pace, reliable shoes, and plenty of water, especially in this summer heat. Now, when we full send an adventure, we try not to forget hydration and our common sense. Presence is not always standing completely still. Sometimes it's noticing every step, the heat, the wind, the ground beneath you, and the realization that you occupy one very small moment inside a place shaped over an unimaginable amount of time. The lens can preserve the image. It cannot completely preserve the feeling of standing there. The footage is not the experience itself, but an invitation to imagine it and perhaps experience it one day for yourself. Then the landscape revealed another story. Our guide explained that these remains were connected to a former guano mining operation and its tramway. In 1960, a low-flying jet severed the heavy steel lines, permanently disabling the multi-million-dollar aerial tramway and effectively ending the canyon's brief back guano extraction era. Without context, it could look like abandoned debris. With context, it becomes evidence of ambition, risk, labor, and failure in one of the most unforgiving environments imaginable. That is why we keep asking questions. The details most visitors pass can become the story that stays with us. The skywalk gave us the challenge that we expected. Guano Point gave us the discovery that we did not. One of the smallest things we saw all day somehow made the canyon feel even older.
That's a squirrel, and the whole body, tails right here. It's a very big fish right here.
That's crazy.
Apparently, nature keeps its own receipts. We regrouped beneath the shade and took one final look across the canyon. By then, the day had become much more than the one attraction that we originally thought we came to experience. Then it was back on the bus, back across the desert, and eventually back towards Las Vegas. We came to Grand Canyon West expecting the skywalk to define the day. And it gave us the headline. But the road, the landscape, Guano Point, the guide stories, and one small fossil gave us the complete experience. Would you choose the skywalk or Guano Point? Until the next roam.